Hi, James. I'm Kristen. I'm with Scribe Magazine. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. It's such an honor to speak with you, given your work you've done. And it's just everything you worked on has just been incredibly amazing. So I'm happy to be, and it is an honor to speak with you today. So,
Thank you.
my first question I have for you is what made this film different from all the other films you've worked on? Because you worked on like one of my favorites of your filmography, The Spectacular Now. So, you got to revisit those coming of age roots. So, what made this different from other projects you worked on?
I think there's a lot of similarities, like with I think interest, but I think what's informed it was being a parent. When I made Spectacular Now, I didn't have three children, which I do now, and I think having children, both boys and girls, has changed the way I look at stories about young protagonists. I think for my co-writer on this, Ben Percy, it's the same. He has kids about the age of these kids, and I think those conversations between parents and children, trying to understand where they're each coming from, sometimes successfully, sometimes not so successfully. I think that's a lot of what the film is about. And the catalyst, again, I say I've sort of been interested in some of these things for a long time because I was reminded recently by a friend that my thesis film in grad school was about a single mother and her daughter as Jeanine Garofalo and a young actor. So there's a lot of it, and a lot of things related to, I think, structural violence and the way that sort of structural violence is sort of transmitted sort of through society into sort of family structures and into parents and kids is something that I've always been interested in. But in this case, it all began with there was a man that was found dead, not so far from my house, and he couldn't be identified, and still has not been identified to
Oh
this
my gosh.
point. And I remember feeling at the time, then I still feel the same way, that to not even receive the dignity of being named upon death felt like a very troubling signifier of something larger culturally that's fundamentally broken. And I had conversations at the time with friends and family, including my children,
Hmm.
about wide-ranging issues from justice, personal responsibility, death, equity, structural issues about how someone could be unhoused, things about toxic masculinity, all the
Yeah.
things that sort of could relate to this. And that sort of slowly became this story. Ben and I have been talking about these issues for over 15 years. We first met years and years and years ago when I adapted a short story of his. He had written a short story that was in the Paris Review and Best American Short Stories called Refresh, Refresh, and it was about young men and violence.
Hmm.
And then my adaptation, after I went to the Sundance Screenwriters Lab, was turned into a graphic novel by Danica Novgorod, that was ultimately selected for Best American Comics back in 2011 by Alison Bechdel. And so anyway, this all sort of felt like this larger ongoing conversation about parents and children and structural violence that that sort of grew and was very much informed by being a parent.
Hmm. And you said just mentioned you were part of the Screenwriters Lab of Sundance. What makes Sundance the most special film festival out of all the films? Because I know you've been to previous film festivals, but what makes Sundance so special to you?
Sundance for me has always just been an incredibly exciting and supportive environment. The Institute, which has the screenwriting labs and the directing labs, documentary labs, theater labs, all of those. They really have supported throughout my lifetime so many independent voices and voices that are not necessarily being represented or supported in sort of mainstream sort of quote unquote Hollywood
Yeah.
storytelling. They've just nurtured them and supported them, and from idea to script to the festival and beyond. So that I think is just remarkable, and the festival for me is just a really exciting place to just see new voices, to see stories that I for the first time that I know people will be talking about for the next year and well beyond. So
Yeah.
something I'm always excited about.
It's on Clearly it's an honor to like interview you and so many other filmmakers who had their films at Sundance Festival over the years that I've been able to talk to. But what from this experience were you able to take away and learn from? Because you worked with a great cast. So what was the biggest thing you were able to take away from that?
There was so much from my cast and crew. I had so many amazing collaborators. So starting, my co-writer and then my producing partner Jen Dana, my casting director A.V. Kaufman, my cinematographer Greta Zazula. I mean, some of these are people, Mari Schley, my costume designer, my music supervisor, Tiffany Anders, Sophie Holquist, who records as Drum and Lace, the composer, like all of these people, along with the cast members, like the 8 amazing actors who play the 4 protagonists at the center and their mothers, were all sort of allies and voices that I read the script from the earliest stages and gave notes, that gave their thoughts, that talked about their own experiences, what it was like for them when they were 11 or 12, and when their friendships, you know, when they were just young girls, when those friendships felt like the most important thing on the world to them, what that was like. And then for many of them, being able to see that through the lens now as adults with their own children, and to talk about that disconnect and about, you know, I think I was struck by the ability. It's something that I see with my kids. It's something that I've seen. My wife works at a school that's a 6th through 12th grade school. So every year there's a whole new batch of 11 and 12-year-olds. And the thing that it's like, it's a very specific moment, like between elementary and middle school, when if you take 4 kids, the kids develop on a different, you know, on a spectrum. But some kids will present as very innocent, still use their imagination as a tool. Some kids are world weary and cynical and have experienced a lot by that point. And certainly in the next year or two after that, as they get later into middle school, they're essentially teenagers and sprinting towards adulthood. But I'm struck, you know, and I was struck as a child as well, because I'm so close with my sister and my mom, with how in female, like in these relationships, like the ability to articulate the value of a friendship, like these characters can, that it's really, really important to them, that their friends mean a lot to them, is different than what I experienced when I was that age. That I think a lot of young boys aren't taught to speak in emotional terms. In fact, they're taught the opposite, to repress those and to only talk about sports or movies or music or whatever. And I think, and then, you know, and I think, and for a lot of, you know, for the characters in the film, for the mothers, I think a lot of what they're dealing with is both trying to create a safe space for their kids, to give them autonomy and independence while supporting them, but also, and while knowing that they're probably projecting their own memories, perhaps revisionist memories of their own childhood and their own anxieties onto their kids, knowing that it can be hard when you're older to make new friends, to manage friendships while you're also juggling being a parent and having a job.
Yeah, and I just love the fact you can really see that in this film. And one thing I really liked about with this casting is that a lot of the adults reminded me of their young kids. Like they felt like they could be like older versions of themselves, which I really liked about the casting for this. So really nailed it on that end. And then another question I have for you is, you wrote this film like inspired by The Goonies and Stand By Me, and you wrote this film like in honor of your daughter and your kids, as you mentioned. Has your family seen the film?
They have. I mean, my wife has seen many cuts of it. My kids have seen scenes of it. I mean, again, because this really was, it started from a real world thing, you know, someone, you know, dying near my kids and having to explain that to them and what that meant. They've kind of been part of that conversation. So they were with me while we were filming it. We were in
That's awesome.
Utah. I mean, you know, as was the families of our cast and a lot of our crew. We were all sort of together. So yeah, I mean, we really, as the story was being developed and the script was being developed, it was read by dozens and dozens and dozens. Every friend of ours that we could find, especially people who like could relate to these characters, who were single mothers, who had, you know, whatever, any iteration that you could think of, was like, tell us how this comports with your own experience that you had when you were a kid and what it's like for you now. And that continued through the process, talking to A.V. Kaufman, my casting director, who I've worked with forever, or Lake Bell, who is a mother, you know, and like, what is this like for you? What was it like when you were their age? So it was amazing to have those conversations with everyone, and certainly with my kids.
Yes, and the final question I have for you is what was it like working with Bleecker Street? Because I know, like, given the producers of the film, what made it special to work with Bleecker Street?
I mean, Bleecker Street's amazing. I mean, they support amazing, like, I mean, so many films that I love, filmmakers that I really love, and they're committed to, I think, what I think is a sacred experience, which is seeing movies in theaters.
Yes.
You know, I mean, in an age when a lot of us, myself included, I will watch movies. I've 3 kids. Like I'll watch things on my TV sometimes for the first time, but I would always hope that I could watch a movie that I'm excited about on a big screen, in a room full of strangers, and have that cathartic emotional experience, to laugh, to cry, to be surprised, whatever it is. It's a really sacred experience that I don't think there's any real substitute for. And Bleecker Street is so fundamentally committed to that, and to filmmakers that who want that. So I think they're so amazing and vital.
Alrighty. Well, thank you so much for your time. It was such an honor to meet with you. I really enjoyed the film,
Thank
and I
you.
can't wait to see your next work. So I
Thank
do
you.
have one final question. What what is what can you give me a hint on your next project, or now is it all under wraps?
Yeah, no, I can tell you. I mean, I mean, I've been filming nonstop for the past year.
Oh.
I spent the fall, this past fall, I was working on a new Amazon series that won't come out till next year, called Daisy Jones and the Six,
Oh
based
yeah.
on a book by Taylor Jenkins Reid. That's about a rock and roll band in the '70s. It's sort of like a Fleetwood Mac type band. I produced and directed a lot of the episodes of that, and then right now I'm just finishing another series, which is a new series for Apple called Shrinking,
Oh
which is
yeah, I've heard of that.
which is about therapists, about psychiatrists, with Jason Segel and Jessica Williams and Harrison Ford, and it's from the Ted Lasso folks. So we're just finishing shooting now, so that'll probably not be out till next year as well.
Okay, sweet. I can't wait to see all that stuff. But
Yeah,
thank you again so much for your time. It was such an honor to speak with you.
thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay. Hello, my name is Kristen and I'm from Scribe Magazine. How are both of you all today?
Good, really well.
You
We're doing
guys
well.
look gorgeous.
Oh gosh,
I
Chris.
love it. I love the summer looks, love the summer vibes. We're bringing it because of with the summer title of the film.
I'm
Congratulations on all the hard work. You both were fabulous in it.
thank you.
Okay, so my first question is, how did you both get attached to this project? Because I really enjoyed every single moment both of you that were in it.
I'll jump in. I think, James Ponsoldt was a big reason why I'm involved with this project. I mean, he is a maker of beautiful things, including
Yes.
Spectacular Now et al. Like I think he has such a considered and patient way to kind of, tell stories through his very patient cinematic lens. So that for me was the biggest allure. And then obviously having a cast of 90% female characters is a stunning rarity. And so very, very appealing, and especially having young women be the voices of the lead characters. So that was, I have young kids, and I love the idea of sharing independent cinema with them, and like, oh, here's something we can watch. That's not the great Pixar and Disney.
Yeah.
Like, this is live action, beautiful storytelling, and will inspire real conversations. So that was the appeal for me.
Yeah.
Oh, I
the fact
love
that it's
that.
going to be in theaters. I just started going back to the movies very recently, and I've missed it so much. I've missed being in those theaters and just watching films with other people and having that experience. So it's exciting to have that. James wrote me a beautiful letter about this character, Karna, who I play, and she's a single mom, and she's just kind of quirky. And she, in my head, I created this sort of story that she just wanted to be a mom. She didn't care if there was a man involved or not. And she decided to have Lola, and Sanai Victoria plays her so beautifully. And I just wanted that experience to be on the set with these amazing women and tell this story, to have a movie that's out, that it's about an adventure that women and girls have and the friendship that they share. And any woman who has a girlfriend knows how important girlfriends are. And it's cool to see like little girls embrace that as well.
You can really feel the bond between the girls and with all the moms in the film. So what was it like filming in this part of Salt Lake City? I mean, the locations are beautiful in the film.
It was very hot too.
It
It was very hot.
I think, there's something about Utah, feels like independent cinema mecca, and it's a great place to shoot, and it's a quite easy place to shoot, which makes, production kind of, a little more efficient. But you know, you're right. I think that there was a really, you know, because we shot it in deep COVID, so there was this sense of meeting new people was just a rarity at that time. So I think certainly the moms, I've worked with Megan Mullally a lot over the years, but you know, getting to meet Ashley and Sarah and really getting to kind of bond and enjoy each other, you know, through these scenes, but then off camera as well, was a
We
huge.
partied hard. No, just kidding. We didn't.
You get there and you go, okay, so I guess we're gonna have to be friends. So that's a wonderful task to take on, you know, because women know how to speak to each other and get right to the point, you know, like both had gone through, well, I went through divorce and I'll let her speak first, but like, you know, we had meeting of the minds and felt that camaraderie.
I love that you guys were all able to connect in that sense. So moving on to some fun stuff, since the film is called Summering, what is your favorite summer activity, or what was your favorite summer activity growing up as a child?
Ooh, when the ice cream truck came.
That's everything.
Oh my God, when you heard that sound and I remember once I didn't have any money and I was like, but I have this rock and it's a really beautiful rock. Like maybe if I give the ice cream guy this rock, he'll give me like my favorite ice cream cone, which was the one with the cone with the chocolate at the bottom and it was drizzled. And,
yes. Oh God, those are good.
I went up to him and I had the rock behind my back. And then I was like, this is not a good idea. And then I just walked away. But the next time it came around, I had some money, but that was my favorite. I just love that.
That is so cute.
Yours was the favorite with that. Okay. Do you remember Strawberry Shortcake? The one with
yes, the little stuff on it, like the good humor kind. Yes.
That was my
everything.
Yeah, I think I went to camp. I went to a lot of sleepaway camps, and it's sort of like I hated it and I loved it. It's like I just remember like having to pack the trunk, and you had like an actual like old timey trunk, like you put all your new shorts, you know, from whatever the like Target version of whatever.
Your favorite part was packing?
No, it was sort of trunk and then putting everything and then like being in your bunk, like what bunk am I gonna get? And then I remember my favorite part, to be honest, like if we're serious, was writing the letters. I had a letter kit, and like I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna write mom and tell her exactly what happened, you know. Letters became like major.
That is really sweet.
Do you know what packing? I hate writing letters. I don't know. We're not friends anymore.
Sarah, right now.
It's never too late to start writing, or just send a text, even though that helps too. I'm disappointed that Choco Taco is like now disappearing.
It's gonna come back. Watch, it'll come back.
I know it's gonna come back somehow. But anyways, this has been short though, but I love speaking with both of you. You guys are fantastic. Congratulations also, not just on Summer, but Pam and Tommy, all the hard work, Lake Bell, you put in. It's amazing what you've done. And Sarah, all the hard work as a comedian, what you've done. I've seen your Netflix special and just everything. I follow you on TikTok as well. So great women representation in this film. And I love speaking with both of you.
Thank you. It was great talking to you.
Yes, of course.